The cloud.
There we go. Hello, everyone. And my name is Barb, and I am sitting in my home office in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And as we open, I invite you to join with me in acknowledging the land wherever you may be. So for me, I work, I learn, I play on the Treaty 7 region. And this is in southern Alberta, the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Ixi-Nakota Nations, the Tsuut'ina, and the Métis Region 3. So who am I? Barb Pedersen. I have been an independent facilitator for 26 years, coming out of a community development and recreation background. I work on my own primarily and partner with people whenever I can and as often as I can. My foundation would be technology of participation, the ORID, the card consensus. And from there, I bring in, I would say primarily World Cafe, the Circle Way, Appreciative Inquiry, and the Skilled Facilitator with Roger Swartz, and as many images as I can use. Shout out to Christine Martel because I discovered images many years ago. So how did this session come about? David told you that I was fortunate to be asked by a new client to facilitate a World Cafe, and I will tell you more about that story. And this was a month ago. It was my first online World Cafe. I'd done many in person, and it was my first big mural. So I just decided, oh, for heaven's sakes, it's what's needed here. I've never been so absolutely petrified and scared in my life because I was doing two new things. And mural is a bit of a learning curve for those of you that know it. I'm glad to say it went very well. And I will tell you the story and I will take you through that experience. And so, of course, I posted a little something on social media, and David was very kind to ask if I would share it. So what are we going to do today? I am going to check in on your experience with World Cafe and Mural. I'm going to describe World Cafe. I want to take you through the World Cafe I facilitated a month ago in a very abbreviated form. Obviously, we aren't doing a 2-hour session. And I want to give you a chance, opportunity to talk about your experiences with World Cafe or what you might do with it. And we'll have a 5-minute break. And since that World Cafe, I actually got another session that's happening Thursday for a slightly modified World Cafe, which I'll share with you. And it's on a Jamboard, so I'm hoping it's going to work too. And a few other modifications that I have done. So what's my intent other than meeting with this wonderful group, expanding across the globe is so wonderful. And again, my appreciation, David. I just want to share examples of what I did. I hope that you gain some ideas for your practice as a facilitator. And I hope to learn because some of you may be very experienced, and I'll make new connections about what I can do with World Cafe and other means online. So guidelines, how many do we have? We have 25 right now. So this makes it a little bit easier because we can still see everybody on one screen. Type questions into chat. We're going to have, David's going to monitor them, and we will have deliberate stop times to chat about the questions or the comments or observations that you make. Use the raise hand feature too, since we are now not quite as many as we thought we would be. And I'm really comfortable with somebody going, Barb, 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 like waving or stopping and interrupting at an appropriate time and say, this was something I need to talk about. So I'm comfortable with that, and I hope others would be if that occurs. We'll do a break. You'll do several small breakout groups. We are recording, and some people have asked for that. I will share my slides with you with me asking you to recognize that they're not the full experience, because I don't tend to use a lot of slides, just more for sharing. So that is where I am. I'm just going to drop this down, and let's just start with a quick, I would like to get a sense of your knowledge and experience with World Cafe and with Mural. And if anybody's working on cell phone, laptop, not on a laptop or a desktop right now, I'm hoping you can see this. Two choices here for you to annotate. And if you don't know how to annotate, I'll explain that in a minute, but I'm just going to see whether you're all able to go into it. So the first one is your experience, mark in wherever you are in terms of World Cafe. And then the next one is about Mural. I did not do this with the group that I did the World Cafe for. I'm using this to get a sense of how much explanation do I need to do about Mural or about World Cafe, and to take you through the experience.
How do we?
You know, I haven't hid the, I should probably. All right, how's everybody doing? Most people in there? Okay, I'm having this moment of, how do I not show the, oh, it's because I'm not the host, right? I was just gonna hide your names, we'll see. Okay, so at this point, we have somebody who has facilitated in person. I'm going to want that person to identify themselves later on, if you're willing to talk about it. So, oh, great. We have a range here, and there seems to be a fairly good knowledge of Mural. So that'll really help me as we go forward. Wonderful. Okay, I am going to tell you, oh, I just have to clear this. Anybody else, anything to say? We're good. I'll make sure we help a few people with Mural. And I'm going to clear and whip down. Oh, someone's just. So let me tell you a little bit about the backstory of this World Cafe. And then I'm going to take you through very brief, what is the World Cafe, so we're all in the same understanding. So I said 3 months ago, the staff and the board of a large public library in a medium-sized city, really close to us here, asked me if I would facilitate a community stakeholder input session for their new strategic plan. And they wanted to use a World Cafe. They had participated in them, and they felt that this was something that would be really valuable. And through discussions, you know, that work we do, we came to an understanding of what the World Cafe was. We had the same understanding, and then I proposed that we do it using Mural, because I really felt that it would give us the most robust environment and ambience of a World Cafe, having, remember, only helped a few other people with Mural, never really facilitated it. So I was on a big learning curve, yet it just seemed to really be the thing to work for them. It was a 2-hour session, and I'm going to explain a bit about a World Cafe, and then I'm going to take you in to what we did. So I honor the story of the World Cafe, and sometimes they're called conversation cafes, leadership cafes, community cafes. I follow and use the World Cafe, and some of you may have seen the Cafe to Go book. I just have it here. It's free. You can download it. I have resources that you'll be able to go into. And I love the little backstory. In 1995, a small group of business and academic leaders were meeting at the home of Juanita Brown and David Isaac in California. None of them had any idea they were about to create a social innovation that would spread rapidly around the world. And they came out of there with the concept of 3 rounds of questions and the flip charts and the moving, working towards answers to powerful questions. And so that's what I still honor. And I modify it as necessary. So what is a World Cafe? So the pictures that are on here are primarily from World Cafes that I facilitated in person. So the World Cafe invites people to gather in a cafe-like setting and hold meaningful conversations about a compelling question or questions. And it's designed to create a safe and welcoming environment, to intentionally connect multiple ideas and perspectives on a topic by engaging participants in several rounds of small group conversation. And David, I see a couple of people are waiting to come in if you just wanted to check that. These are some of my favorite facilitation friends. So how does it work? You create a cafe, and most of you, I saw a lot of experience with the World Cafe. You create a cafe, round tables, tablecloths, flip chart paper, crayons, markers, flowers, candles, food, beverages, that feeling of we're entered into a special space. And this one wasn't quite as decorative as I wanted, but it happens. Ask powerful questions, and I probably spend more time developing the question. I go back to Juanita and David's, not that I know them, but I feel like I know them, The Art of Powerful Questions. I read that through. Again, it's in the resources, and spend a lot of time talking about, working through what is that question. 4 to 5 people at cafe style tables. That's a really critical component to me. It's to keep it small. So I try not to go over 5. Typically 3 rounds of conversation, typically 15 to 30 minutes each, but that can vary. And the 3 rounds is, again, a really important part of the World Cafe to build on each other. A table hosts to guide conversations and explain ideas to the next group. I was chatting with some of the people at the World Cafe community, and they're saying, the table host is optional. If you have one, it's volunteer, and they don't facilitate. I don't set them up with a facilitator at each table group. That's wonderful, wonderful approach, wonderful discussion and facilitation techniques. A World Cafe is the organic hosting around the table. And the table host just stays to say, here's what we talked about, to transfer that knowledge on to the next group. I didn't do it in my World Cafe. I'm going to have you share, but I've got a plan using self-select breakout rooms in Zoom, how to do that. Participants travel from table to table between each round. They contribute, they write ideas, they draw, they doodle. Again, a really important part of the in-person World Cafe that I was working on. How do I make that happen? And the last round, round 3, typically this is kind of the decision recording round. They can record key ideas, present ideas, and discuss back in the main group. What you do at the end of the World Cafe can be as simple as gathering the ideas, and it can be as complex as going on to another discussion as we go ahead. Okay, and someone just asked about sharing the links. I will be doing that. So a couple of things more. I do want to just review the 7 design principles. I'm a real believer in honoring the, whether it's open space, technology, or whatever it is, making sure we honor the principles. And these are what make the difference of a World Cafe. So set the context. Why are we here? do a wonderful invitation, create the hospitable space, incredibly important to create that sense of a event is happening around your favorite beverage. Explore questions that matter, encourage everyone's contribution, connect diverse perspectives, real strength of a World Cafe. Listen together for patterns and insights, and share collective discoveries.
For some regions or chapters, we also have other accounts on those channels. And also we have the global Facebook account. And
I mean, Hope, I'm having trouble hearing. Can you just repeat, please?
Hope has just arrived, so I'm not sure if
Okay.
she's talking to us. Hope, is everything okay? Okay, let's see.
Yes, everything is fine. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Great.
Right, I'm just in. Thank you.
Okay, there's my little lesson on World Cafe, and I put resources here, the Cafe to Go booklet, updated to 2020, the World Cafe link, the book that Juanita Brown and David Isaacs wrote, and this community, which is coming out of this World Cafe. Under the community, I spend time in the digital sandbox because obviously it's the area where they're doing World Cafe online. Many resources here. These are the basic ones that I go with. Yeah. Okay, I am curious, quick show of hands using 5 fingers as to how does my description fit with what your understanding is. So 5 is, yeah, I understand it exactly the same way, all the way through to, okay, watch that one finger, all the way through to, this doesn't make any sense at all. Just real fast. All righty, pretty good, great. Good. Quick comment is that when I do World Cafes or people ask me, I spend a lot of time talking to them about their understanding of it. And just what the uniqueness is around those principles, etc. So let us now, any questions or answers? David, can you just give me a check? Anybody throw up your hand or have a quick, let me know if there's anything, because we're going to actually move into the Library World Cafe I did a month ago.
I haven't seen any questions in the chat, but I do have a quick question myself. Will you be sharing these slides?
Yes, yeah. I think there's one I have to kind of fade a little bit. I'll show you in a minute, but yes. And David, I'm assuming I can get it to you and.
Yeah, you can edit it afterwards and send it. We'll put it in with the video.
Perfect, excellent. So before we jump into the World Cafe, I wanted to mention something that hasn't happened yet. So I have my home office and I have these lovely neighbors next door. And they have these 3 great big Lombardy poplars. Those are the ones that grow up like forever. And they decided today would be the day to have them removed professionally because they're dying. And the tree removal company showed up with chainsaws, chipper machine, and stump grinders. So letting you know things could happen. The grinder has not started. And I did my best, what do I call it? Persuasive, assertive manner to try to convince everybody they should come back. I even said they could take down one of my trees, but it wasn't happening. I have no idea. David graciously taught me a new feature on Zoom, some of the sound suppression. I don't know what's going to happen. I simply say, if things get crazy here, please take care of your own comfort. And if you need to leave, you leave. And there will be the recording. So we'll see what happens. This has never happened. It's quite different for me. Oh my goodness. 26 years of working at home, surviving kids, cats, dogs, husband, yeah, tree stump. Okay. I am now going to invite you into an explanation of the Public Library World Cafe that I did. Thanks, Paul. And this is what I created, and this is the blank World Cafe experience, which they saw as they walked in. And this is the mural you're going to play with. I'm now going to show you what the end result was. So when we finish the 2 hours, I'm purposely not going in because it's all their information, but in that mural with all the blank spots, you can see now, stay focused on the purple, we had the table groups putting in their ideas. We had a main cafe area for each question that they came back to. And I had a lot of other different places. And this is the experience I'm going to take you into now. So David, could you put the link to the mural in? I think I'm at that point. Yeah, I am. I'm going to ask if everyone could wait before you jump into it, because I want to share screen and show you the experience that they had as we went in. So let me just get my mural up here. Okay, are you seeing the World Cafe? Blank mural. Great, good. I'm going to immerse you into the World Cafe and you're going to get to play with it a little bit. And once again, questions, whatever, please, just let me know and we'll do it. I'm going to go into what I said to the participants. So you get that feeling of what I did. We had 24 people. We had 3 questions just to set the stage, and I welcomed them in. The first thing I did with them was to put them into into pair discussions, and I asked them to share a memory of a library, and for about 4 minutes, and it was very powerful. Because some went back to their childhood, some were talking about what's happening during the pandemic and how are you getting your books. And it just allowed people to focus on something that most of us experience, a library in some way. And then after that, this is what I said. I brought this up, I screen shared exactly like I am with you. I said, welcome everyone. This is your World Cafe, and you are looking at what is called a mural. A mural is an online series of flip charts and post-it notes. And I want you to think that you are going into your local community center. As you walk into the room, you see a series of cafe-like tables, and they're clustered in different areas. And many of them are decorated with very, very pretty flowers. There's some objects. There's coffee to welcome you. And they center around a central area. This is what you see in our online World Cafe. We have the purple area, and we have a green area, and we have a blue area. Off to the side, when you go into the conference center at the community hall, you may see a welcome area, you may see some displays. And again, this is what I have replicated here. So the first thing I want to do is welcome you to the World Cafe. So I'm going to move us and zoom us into welcome to the World Cafe about your library. Here's the invitation that you received. And from what you know about your community, we're asking you to tell the library your thoughts, ideas, dreams about 3 questions. What are the community needs related to library services? How could the Chestermere Public Library help to meet these needs? And what does the library of the future look like? If we were meeting in person, you would be at the little round tables. Because we're meeting online in a World Cafe, we're joining in community still from our computer screens. And as we go into the World Cafe, I invite you to think about these guidelines and to keep them in mind. So enjoy your beverage. Have fun. Play, draw, doodle. And I'm going to teach you how to do that on Mural. Listen to gather for patterns, insights, and deeper connections. Link and connect ideas. Slow down and invite your group to slow down with you if you need to. Speak with your mind and your heart, and contribute your thinking. So enjoy those as you go through the experience of the World Cafe, contributing your ideas about the library. Now, there's a few things I want to teach you before I have you go in and join me in the mural. First of all is this outline on the right-hand side. Can everybody see it? Show of hands that you can see outline. Watching. If you can't, you may have to go up and click outline here, because that's where on that little bulleted list, that's where it shows. And this outline gets you around mural. Anything you click on, that's where you're going to go. And it's going to be really important when you're working in small groups and I help you through that stage. So I am going to just show you introduction to mural. And there are only 2 things I want you to know to do. How to navigate. And you can do that by using your mouse. I scroll mine up and down. Or you might be doing a touchpad, or you might be doing a touch screen, whichever you do. So when we move into it, I'm going to want you to practice moving around. And I want you to make a sticky note. So when we get to this spot, you just double click, and there's the note. Okay. So those are the things that I want us to practice. So let's pop in to the mural. And I'm going to stop screen sharing. And David, you may need to put the link back in because I have, I think a couple of people came in and they would need to get it. And as you're all going in, questions, comments, how did you do this, Barb, et cetera, before I immerse you back into it. Jessica?
Yes, ma'am. What kind of mural account do you have to let other people onto your board?
I bought the first one up from the, no, hang on, take that all back. I joined the Mural Consultant Network. Anybody else? Yeah, took me a while. You apply online, you go to the mural page and you go way down to the bottom and you see Consultant Network and you apply, and they kind of me the first time, but on the second time I was in, it gives you 10 murals that you can use. Anybody have an actual paid membership? Because I have to decide if I start using it a whole bunch, whether 10 is going to be enough. Jessica, that's okay? Good enough for you? Yeah, okay, great. I'm not seeing people in, so how are you doing? Are you able to join in the mural, clicking on the link? But only, how many do I have in? Let me find out. Oh, I've got a lot in. A question, how do participants respond to mural? Did they find it easy enough to navigate? Big fear for me for that session. Knowing that I deliberately chose and talked with my clients that this was the one to use. And I kid you not, from the moment where I started that little explanation right after they talked in pairs about a library memory, up to what we're going to do right now was 10 minutes. None of them had used mural. And we just deliberately, I screen shared. First of all, I didn't even give them the link. Then I took them in and I asked them to, first of all, they went to the intro to mural. I think we'll skip that one, but if all of you could go to what does a library mean, number 3, click on it and go there and play with that. Make some stickies. What does a library mean to you? And just have some fun. Write that in and do that. I know we have more people, but that's, I don't know, we're about the same now. That's good. And if you want, oh, look, some people are doing images. I couldn't believe it. I did not spend, I'm not kidding, 8 minutes and they were at this stage. I timed it. And I spent, and I'm not kidding, I spent hours doing my script to be able to be very clear. And it was very similar to what we're doing with you. Oh, look, people are putting things in. So I used what does a library mean to you, both as a way for them to practice mural, making the sticky notes, and to gather input. So when I do anything online, if I'm going to use something, and I went up to this very slowly. I've been doing Google Slides, Google Docs, Jamboard, and just slowly, I mean, we're 13 months into COVID. I'm just slowly using mural. I use a lot of images. I always do the introductory or opening will involve whatever external platform I'm using. So this was two purposes: get them to practice and get them to give really good input on what does a library mean. And I shared this with the clients as another way of doing the information. Okay, thank you. Look at some of those great ideas. Oh, and somebody changed it all to green. Look at that. Thought I had this locked. Aha. Look at me. Isn't that just a hoot? Believe me, I had to learn what locked is. Okay, let's jump in then to the actual main part of the World Cafe. So I am asking all of you to, I'm going to share screen now. Oops, let me just get rid of following elephant. Where are we? Here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to take you back into what I said to the participants and then have you experience it a little bit. And again, remember, hoot and holler if you have questions or comments. So thanks for all the comments on what does a library mean to you. We will be using them in our report for the library. And now we're going to go into question 1. And if you remember, question 1 was about what are the community needs related to library services? Our question 1 cafe tables are all circled around the purple. And if you look on your outline, you will see number 4, round 1, main cafe, round 1, table 1, round 1, table 2, all the way through to round 1, table 6. And when we put you into small groups to talk with each other, your small group number is the number of the table that you go to. So what will we do? You'll go into small groups. If you are table 2, come to the mural, click on table 2, and you're going to fly into table 2. And you'll be with 4 or 5 other people. I think we will be. Yeah, 6 groups, David. Once you get there, now, these are the instructions for my World Cafe. We're not going to go through all of this. They had 20 minutes. But this is what I said to them. Here's the question. Introduce yourself, appoint a recorder for 2 key insights to bring back to the main group, appoint a timekeeper. For 5 to 8 minutes, each person write your answers to the question. Make some sticky notes and write your answer. And then do 2 or 3 notes each, 1 idea per note. And then for 7 to 10 minutes, as a group, talk about the ideas and decide upon 2 key insights to report back. And when I summon you or bring you all back over here to the main table, your recorder will duplicate and write those 2 main insights. I'm asking you not to drag them in from your table because the library would like to have all of the comments in each table. So 2 key insights. Your reporter will just create them here. And we're going to start with the World Cafe round 1. Okay, stepping back out. They were with me. We were moving into this with no problem at all. I was so relieved. I want to give you the experience just so you see what it's like to go in and come back out. So David is forming, and I'm also watching chat here, 6 groups, David. 6 groups, whatever number that works out to be. I'm going to give you, I think, honestly, about, let's do 6 minutes, David, okay? This is just to fly in, say hi to each other, put a few notes on if you want, okay? Answering the question. I want you just to get the feel of what the participants did. Remember, they had 20 minutes. And I could watch, and I didn't join the small group except once, because we were 10 minutes in and one group had put nothing on. So, you know, I'd asked permission and I joined them. And what they were doing was into this really deep discussion. And then they said, now, and then we're all going to put our notes on. So it was fine because I could watch everybody putting them on. So let's do that. And then we're going to stop and have a good question and answer. And I'll do some things that, how did I do this? What would I do differently? And then we'll have a break. So any questions, comments before you actually go into small groups and play with the mural World Cafe? Okay. I'll talk a little bit about my setup afterwards too. So David, you're on.
I think Anastasia has a question.
Oh, good, great. There she is. Hand up. Thanks. Anastasia?
Barb, would you please tell us at this session, are we planning to contribute to the proposed scenario of the library? So the content we will be talking about will be about the library.
I'm giving you the option. The question is there. Like, I'll just zoom into table 3. Do what you want with this. If you want to make a few comments about what are the community needs related to library services from your own experience, just do it. Have the experience of going in. I don't really care about that. I just want you to feel what it was like and what I was putting people through. Is that fair enough? Answer it if you want. That's be just great. Your choice. Anyone else? Okay, 6 minutes, I think we said. I don't know, you'll get the countdown, whatever David's given you.
Yeah, 60-second countdown.
60 seconds. And remember, your breakout room is your round 1 table group. So where you go, and we'll be watching. You do know how to come back to the main room if you end up being lost.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on that. Okay, so I've changed the rooms to tables.
Oh, listen to
Ooh.
him. And you've got 6 of them?
I've got 6, and we'll be in room 7, you and me, Barb, just to do a check. Yeah.
Perfect. And check
Okay.
out my little decoration images when you get there too, okay? All right, let's open them. Have some
Okay.
fun, do whatever you want.
Hope, can you hear me, Hope? Hope, can you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you,
Okay.
but I wasn't, right, but in the mural, I wasn't seeing where to go.
Okay, you're going to go to a breakout room normally. You should have on your screen, go into table 6.
Table 6, okay.
Yeah, so you have to click on that to go in and you will join group number 6. Is that okay?
All right, okay, let me see if I find that.
Yeah, I'll stay here and see if you can.
Yes, I was going to say, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say.
I'll put you in a different group. You might get the message again, Hope, okay?
Yes, please do that. Thank you.
Okay, now you should be getting a
Okay,
message.
right, I'm seeing it now. Thank you.
Okay, you're going into 5.
I flew into 7 and then I came back and nobody was here and then I.
Okay, so Hope has gone in. She's fine.
Great.
Okay, good. So
How
there you
goes it?
go. Yes, what is being recorded now exactly? Is it you and me, or
Yeah, I don't think we need it. Do you?
shall we leave
If you pause it and then start it again.
It's recording. Hi, Susanna.
I
So did you talk?
we decided to go back. Okay.
Oh, good, great. Yeah, that's always the thing. Are they going to come back early? Or are they going to wait the minute? You know, you never know, do you? See some dancing people there. Oh my gosh. My gosh. You know, I am so going to look into this and see what people did afterwards. You realize that? Hey.
Hey, Barb, I have a question. I just have a comment.
Yes.
So one of the things based on our conversation, and I've actually, I sat with a pal of mine who was a communications person, and they had used Miro, and she was so frustrated. She said, 45 minutes later, we're still learning how to use the tool and we're not having the conversation. So she was pretty, why don't we just use something simpler like Google Docs or, just something like that. I will say that in this experience, what I noted is that unless you have more than one monitor, and I would guess that a lot of participants are going to be just having their laptop, or, you can't see people at the same time that you're in the mural space putting in your Post-it notes. So some of the things we talked about is, if that is uncomfortable for people, like just hearing people's voices while you're putting that, maybe it is the one person who shares a screen, who's the recorder, who takes everyone's ideas and, puts it so that you can actually see the Zoom people at the same time. Otherwise you're toggling, on your one laptop back and forth. And then I think there's opportunities to get lost.
Or do we need to create like a second page with some sessions or posters underneath?
The one thing you can do with the Instagram is you can use the swipe. It's quite nice. But the English version, you swipe, and that's the Russian
Somebody's
version.
got.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Hope. Maybe David, I'll let you deal with that.
Yeah, I'm dealing with it. Okay, it's good.
Great comments, and I welcome anybody's responses to what they found. A couple of things. It's one of the reasons I've gone slowly into Mural or Miro. I don't even know how to pronounce them, the MIRO, some of the others, because of the learning curve, and hence my apprehension about using it, although I felt it was a really good product. I was very clear to send out instructions that coming off a desktop or a laptop, and you are going to be able to need to see this screen, and I sent them a picture of it. And I said, if at all possible, please not a cell phone or a tablet, because they're really hard to use. And we had one person on a cell phone, and he was fully aware, but just his circumstances, he had to listen. I also had a woman who was hard of hearing, so that was another complication too. I spend a bit more time teaching people how to bring down their Zoom and bring the mural up, let them reach some comfort level around that. My session went extremely well, and the other ones that I do typically, they seem to, I don't go into a lot of things like this, but a Jamboard, they seem to be able to figure it out. So I know experiences on how people practice going back and forth. Christine, you said you have people practice going back and forth between mural and Zoom. Can you speak to that a little bit about what you do and how long it takes?
Yeah, it's just quick, but I make it like a game. Like, okay, one of the things that happens is people get mixed up between which window they're in. So let's practice, and I have a screen share of the mural on the Zoom window. So I said, okay, let's see where we are. And people get mixed up, and then they get, but they help each other. And then it becomes like an icebreaker almost. And it just takes like 30 seconds to, a minute, but it's playful.
Thank you. I would never do this without a tech support or whatever. I had a wonderful, wonderful colleague, Susan Merchant, who really didn't know mural. She could handle all the other stuff. So that's really important. Keep it really simple. Outline, navigate, and make a sticky. Those are the three things you need. And Google easy, go on YouTube and Google easy instructions or getting on mural in 3 minutes. I saw one, it was absolutely wonderful. It took me 10 minutes to do the same thing this woman did in 3. But it's something to be really aware of. I agree, Lisa, completely with that. The comment about having one person record, yes. And I often do that if I'm doing some other kind of discussion method. One of the intents of the World Cafe and the different experience is that everybody gets their hands on the paper and the pen and the images and all work together with it. And so I try to have it so that everybody can do that, but of course letting the group decide what works for them. Okay, other questions, comments? This is a
Christiane has a question, Barb.
Yes, yeah, I would just like to know if you have the same features as on Miro, meaning that you can bring all the participants to one place where you want them to go, in case they are lost in the big whiteboard.
Yes, there's a summon feature that I as a host have, and I don't use it a lot. Other people do. So I can summon and release people. When I was practicing with family and friends, as I always do, my nieces were telling me that it was really scary to be summoned the first time with no warning. So now if I'm going to summon people, I say, I'm going to summon you, which means you're all following me in a great big line. These little things that you learn. Okay, other questions or comments before I'm just going to share a few things that I learned, and we'll have a bit of a break and then come back and go through a couple of other ways that I'm thinking and planning to do a World Cafe.
Barb, allow me just a quickie one, and we go ahead. In terms of responses, since we are touching down on these delicates on how the people might respond, how to respond on any type of negative frustration over software in general. Maybe you can give some tips, or at the end, not necessarily now, just in general, how to respond if frustration happens.
Okay, I'm going to really ask people to get ready to unmute and contribute to this, because it's not just related to a World Cafe or a mural. Number one, I'm purpose the participants before the platform. What do they need? What's the end result they want? What is their level of experience, frustration, happiness? And then pick the platform. And as I said, I'm very careful and very deliberate about keeping it as simple as possible. So that's the number one thing. I personally find that sending stuff out in advance for my clients, which is a lot of nonprofit, but very sophisticated nonprofit, is just kind of like useless. I sent out a really simple little practice to all the participants for this World Cafe. One person did it. out of the 24. So I'm hoping others have more success, but I'm not having doing the practice ahead of time. I always, if I'm going to use an external platform that people can get frustrated on, as I said, my opening activity is meaningful and lets them practice on it. And you have to have that tech person, your friend, your best facilitator friend has to be there to be able to handle those frustrations. I haven't had a complete, I can't deal with this ever. And I've had people coming in. Do you know what Tim Hortons are in Canada? They're everywhere. Tim Hortons, I've had people coming in off their cell phones and Tim Hortons, and we've managed because people try. Others, what are your tips for how do you deal with that frustration with the technology? Julia?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, go ahead, Lisa. Think.
Well, I just say you got to have a backup. Unfortunately, like it's just all part of the planning, and it's why, and clients still don't understand how it takes longer to prepare for virtual than on site. But that's a whole nother conversation. But I think you have to have a non-platform backup, no matter what, to say, okay, if this tool or this platform is just not working for people, or people are getting frustrated, you need to know when to call it and go, okay, we're going to go to plan B, which is we're pulling up a Google sheet, or we're pulling up a, whatever it is, right?
Others? So here we go. Choose from the group the one who is comfortable with it. Make sure I have one in each group. Absolutely. I am online 10 minutes early for people. Yeah, I'm 10 to 15 minutes early. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Good. I want to do just, no, I'm going to leave it till after a break. I want to talk about a little bit of design stuff that relates to the World Cafe after the break. And then we'll do some discussion, small group work about how you might actually use this. And I'll share you a couple more of my, I think I'm going to try this and will it work? So 5 minutes, give yourself a nice little break. Some of you are heading into evening, 5 minutes, come on back, enjoy. David, I haven't started a timer. If you want to go ahead.
I can give it's 1907, we can come back.
Oh, thank you. I'm terrible at that.
07. Okay.
I'm going to get my little clock though going for 5 minutes. Perfect.
Okay, I'll stop the.
David.
I've just started recording again.
Oh, great. Good. I'm going to assume we have most people back. Great. Okay.
Yes.
Any questions that came up while you were breaking and thinking of other things, I hope?
Yeah, Barbara, you put 1 or 2 links in there to the World Cafe, key concepts, resources, and publications, I see. Yeah.
From the slide that I showed you with the resources, I just copied the links and the names of the book into the chat. Okay.
Hope has a question.
Oh, great.
Right. No, it's just a comment that I want to endorse what one of the participants said earlier, that it actually takes more time to prepare for an online session than to prepare for I'm finding that takes more time to prepare than for preparing for a face-to-face. You have to put more effort into it to make sure that you can engage your participants throughout. And you do have to have your alternatives that you can shift to if something is not working.
I'm seeing a lot of head nods, absolutely. And I don't even want to tell you how many hours to do that first World Cafe, which I saw as an investment. I mean, probably for 2 hours, I probably worked 3 days on it, and I'm not kidding. But it was my first,
Yes.
first World Cafe and first big mural. I don't know why I did all of that. So other questions or comments? Thank you, Hope. That was great.
Thank you.
All of them are great. I'm going to just watching for questions and comments.
Mary had a question there. Sorry, Barb. Mary had a question.
Just wanted to check in because it occurred to me, Barbara, you mentioned quite briefly, and I just wanted to check. the questions you had people discuss on the Zoom side in person, so they could kind of have all that discussion to crystallize what they might want to put on the post-it notes and then travel into the post-it note land.
Okay, so I'll explain the process in a bit more detail. After I showed them the layout and after they practiced the navigate and create post-it notes about what does the library mean to you, I took them all back into Zoom. I gave them the first question, no explanation of the table groups and going in and out of the rooms. I gave them 2 minutes of silent reflection time with cameras off to think about the answers to the question. And they just wrote them on anything they wanted. Then I introduced them to, we're going to go to question 1, round 1. You're going into small groups, go in there and create your post-it notes and talk to each other. That was the step I used. Does that help, Mary? Great. And David, thank you. Please just keep interrupting me because I'm not seeing hands going up as quickly as I normally do. The couple of comments. This is a very simple design, I would say, for mural, yet a very complicated mural. Like, oh, Barb, what were you thinking of? I mean, there's 3 rounds of 6 tables each. You know, I'd only participate in murals where there was maybe 10 things on the outline, if even that. And I was down to like 24. Thought it out, like really spent so much time, as we all know, just thinking through how to work that through. And I would really like to design a fancier World Cafe to really give that sense of the ambience that you get when you see the beauty of a World Cafe set up with all the decorations. I have minimal design skills, and so I will be working on that without it taking away from what's the purpose. I mean, I don't do that unless it's really going to add incredible value. This worked and people were very pleased, and I had a little bit of a design feel. So it's always back to that. What else? I was able to take all of these, and Mural allows you to export the post-it notes as Excel or as Word. So I just copied them, and I'm looking for a quicker way because I could group some of them, and then I just copied and pasted them into Excel, which is what my client wanted. So that was pretty cool. I don't know if Miro does it or Miro or whatever you say them. They have got to change those names. What else? The thinking it through was much more complex. The questions, that's what I wanted to talk about, because it wasn't just online part. A World Cafe, as I said, typically is 3 rounds, and I tend to find it runs in 2 ways. This one was 3 distinct questions. Okay, and am I share screening right now? I think you guys are seeing the welcome to the World Cafe. 3 distinct questions, and that's what the library wanted. Thanks, Paul. They do interconnect. They can build on each other, yet they wanted these 3. Another way, so I could run it as go into 3 different groups. Now, another way of doing it, and I want to, and this is going into, this is the design that's so critical with the World Cafe, and then how are you going to do this? I want to show you another option. I hope that's my PowerPoint, all these things going in and out, vastly. So just other ways to transform the in-person World Cafe in the online environment. Quite often, a World Cafe is more of 3 questions. They build towards the final question. So question 1, question 2, and then 3 is what is reported back. And I really like those World Cafes because that's when you get the real diversity and interconnection and building on each other's. So this was one that I developed just for fun to show you. We won't go through it because it would take us to, whoops, sorry. But I want to just explain it to you, and it uses Jamboard. So the first question would be in Zoom, and it would be going into small breakout groups, and you would talk about how have you in the past 13 months enhanced your facilitation skills. I would not ask for any recording, just give and gain ideas, no need to record. Each person just takes those ideas with them to the next round. So I'm looking for feedback. I don't know if you think this will work. So round 2, either we can just randomize the small groups again and shift them over, or people could self-select if they wanted out of the breakout groups. And you would do that simply by, again, having the tables numbered like David did and asking them to honor that there's no more than 5 in a small group. I haven't tried to self-select yet. I'm just dying to try it and see how it works in a World Cafe. So in the round 2, the question is, what do you want to do more of to enhance your facilitation skills? People could talk about that. So you can see how the questions build on each other in this World Cafe. And question 3, I would then have the small groups go into a Jamboard. I'm going to show you that in a minute. And this is what they would record. The question would be, what could the IAF do to help facilitators enhance their skills? And the small group would talk about it, and they'd record the top 3 ideas on the Jamboard. We could go back into a main group and look at all the ideas. So this would be the Jamboard that as we come into the round 3, Lisa, I see a question. They would actually work on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, just when you said they go to the 3rd question for the Jamboard piece, are they going, they're going into their, so they each small group has a Jamboard, and then they go into them, and then you take them into a main room Jamboard to then bring everything together. Is that right?
Yes. David, can you put in the Jamboard?
Indeed.
So you'll actually be able to see this. I'm not having you do it because of time, but I want you to just see another approach that I'm trying to use on Jamboard, because I find people are a little bit more able to do Jamboard.
Okay, here we go. Up.
Are people able to, oops, let me stop sharing. Are people able to see the Jamboard? If I can get into my Jamboard. Do you see question 3? What could the IAF do? Like my coffee? Oh, learning. I'm trying to get that cafe feel there. So they would either self-select after round 2, or I'd bring them back, I think, into Zoom and go over the directions, make sure people could get into the Jamboard, and then have them go back out into their small groups. And ask them here to now give me your top, what are the 5 things that you suggest to put on the Jamboard, and get people to do it that way. Thoughts, comments? Explain it again, Barb. You lost me back at round 2, whatever. What are your thoughts about this approach for a World Cafe?
Yeah, I like this a lot, and I just because I think it's it might be a bit easier. So after the groups have done their individual Jamboards, then what's the process for bringing it back to plenary? And like, are you bringing back all these individual Jamboards, or are you asking for reporters from each to bring back into a plenary Jamboard?
Okay, I need my Jamboard experts, because this is the part that I'm wondering a little bit about too, because I haven't done how you pull some of those ideas. You can only copy and paste them, what I understand, over. So I'd be saying to each group, get, what are your 3 ideas? Do we read through them? Anybody got an idea on how would you do that summary? Helen?
So I've not done that. I've used Jamboard quite a lot, and I've not actually done this, but I know you can create a JPEG or a PNG, is it an image file, an image file from the Jamboard. So theoretically, you could create an image from each Jamboard and then put them on I don't know, mural, a bigger space, say, so you can see all the images. I haven't done it though.
I like it. Great. Other ideas? Because what I would do is schedule a break. I mean, and this is seriously, I'm trying to figure out. So we have 10 groups and they've all done their top 6 ideas. Like in Mural, I can pull them together. If I'm using sticky notes on the wall, it's, but what do I do? And that's, I love these ideas
Right.
because I was thinking, take a break and do something like what Helene said, take the images and put them up there, but I'm still struggling with how to do that
Right.
final. So if anybody has some ideas, please let me know. Hope, I see your hand up.
Yes, what I've done is one of 2 things. I either use one Jamboard and put a question, on have different pages of it and put a question on each page. And so they can move between the pages. So you're using one Jamboard. Or I may put the whole image on each page and then assign a group. So I put a group number on each page. So that again, they're still using one Jamboard. All the groups are using one Jamboard. So it makes it easier at the end to put it all together.
Okay, excellent. And Hope, this is a request. Is there any way you can type into chat just a quick summary of that? I would sure like to give that a shot too. And Helene, asking if you could possibly do the same, because this is the next one that I want to use. Okay. A quick check-in. I wanted to show you this one because it is a different one that I am hoping to do. And I had originally thought about you doing some a quick small group discussion on how might you use Jamboard. I would just a show of hands, would you like to whip out for 6-7 minutes and then come back and we all just say goodbye? Would you like to stay in here and do some more questions? So those that would like to, and I'm going to go with majority here because I'm just honoring the time, but we have time for a quick 6-minute small group if we want. Those who would like to do a small group, please hold your hands up really clearly. Okay, we got a bit of a mix here. And those who would like to just stay in here and do some more general questions, let me see you really clearly.
So the questions is, yeah.
Okay, I think we'll stay here and go back into any questions or comments. I have one other thing I want to show you that I was just going to decide. And I'm willing to stay on if anybody wants to talk a little bit. Yeah, I agree. There's a comment that there's a couple here use Google Slides in a similar way. Absolutely. That's where that's my main one that I use. I just didn't feel it worked as well for the World Cafe as the Mural did, and I wanted to take a feel, to get that big feel. You can take a break and type their responses into Trello, which I don't know, I've only heard about them. Okay, that's really good to know. So here's some suggestions from Helene. So that's really good. Oh, and Paul said, oh, how are you seeing everyone's hands up and sharing screens using a double screen? Somebody said, okay, good. Those answer the questions. Yeah. I agree that the whiteboards in Zoom, the Jamboards, they aren't as big as the Mural and you can't be as flexible. Yet really, I mean, it's just so important to suit to what is the purpose and pick accordingly. So with just a few minutes left, I'll walk you through my complicated World Cafe. I did not try to create this yet, but I look for your feedback and I offer it as a way to do it all. Table hosts, self-select groups, 3 questions, 3 rounds in Mural or Jamboard, I'm thinking. So this is where the table groups would be created. There's the breakout groups and participants would self-select. So who's used the self-select feature on Zoom yet? Either as a participant or facilitated with it? All righty, yeah, it's I'm just learning it. It's kind of cool. I'm still giving it, I think, a 4 out of 5. I'm going to get there with it. So I would tell the group to really watch for broadcast messages for the time to switch. or I could be running a timer in Mural. I can't remember if there's one in Jamboard. So question 1 would come up. They would go into their small group. I would ask, they would pick which group they want to be in on the self-select. I'd ask each group to choose a table host who will stay for question 2 and explain to the new members what was discussed. So they would go into their table groups and they would choose a room honoring 4 or 5 people, and they'd go to that Mural or Jamboard and they would talk and they would write notes and they'd draw and they'd use images. Obviously some good practice ahead of time on this one. After the 20 minutes, I would broadcast, please pick another group, your table host stays, and that's how the table host can stay really easily. Everybody picks moving into their own group. Repeat with question 2, same thing. Ask for a table host. They draw, they doodle. So you're really getting that real, true, authentic World Cafe. And after question 2, again, I broadcast it's time to move. They self-select. They go to the round 3, and that's where, you know, they will bring back 3 or 5 questions. So that's the full experience of hosts, everybody drawing and doodling, everybody moving as they wish between tables. Comments? Will it work?
I think the biggest thing, Barb, I can see that once you're in it, it's working quite well. I think the biggest thing would be even you saying, like, do people know how to self-select? Because that could end up being quite a gong show if some people are self-selecting and some don't know, and like
Yep.
you could end up like with a, you know, quite a gong show in between. I think the work itself is great. I think it's just, it's probably that self-select or the moving piece. And honestly, even in person, that can be an issue, right? Where people move around and they're not, right? So I can see how it would be, that would be the place, I think, the highest risk place.
Great observation, Lisa. Thank you. It's fun in person. Wow, you know, everybody's out there and moving. I didn't facilitate. I participated in 24 people doing self-select. International Association of Public Participation. AGM and learning event last Thursday, and we self-selected, and I have to say it went extremely well. The biggest thing, the real challenge I'm concerned about is you have to have an updated Zoom. As in last week, it has to be updated too, and most people just, they don't even know how to update their Zoom. You know, facilitators do, but participants don't. So that's a big, a bit of a question. I have a question from Susanna. I've experienced the World Cafe with the host staying. Is it okay under your opinion? And the host staying in each table round? Yeah, I let people be really comfortable if we're using hosts and the same person wants to stay. To me, that's their choice. I'm pretty much choice after I give them some directions on just how to do it. What I ask the host to do and all the other participants in the World Cafe is to honor the principle that it is simply an explanation of what the previous group talked about. And then they open up and they just become a participant. Yeah. Anyone else? Because I'm going to do one last quick closing thing in chat. And David has his hand up. Go.
Yeah, just very quickly, and it gets back to what Lisa, I think, was saying there. I think there's an inherent danger, you know, very kind of hidden danger in what's easy in these things, what's easy for us and what's not easy for our, let's say, our clients or our participants. And I think it can happen very quickly that we can say, oh, you just have to do this. And, you know, if the client isn't familiar with it, going into a virtual session is kind of daunting enough. Asking them to do something they're not familiar with can be dangerous, and it takes them time to get over that being lost in the thing, and they kind of can shake them a little bit. So I think we need to be very, very careful about what is easy for us and is not easy. I mean, I'll give you an example. It's a silly, I still don't know how to do a poll in Zoom. I tried it once and it didn't work, and I kind of, it'll take me another 6 weeks before I have a look at it again, because I just avoid all those things. So I think doing that live for a participant, and most of the time it is live because they don't check it out before. I think we have to give it considerable thought before we go down that road.
So is there a way, building on what David's saying, like, you know, Barb, you know, we've had this experience where, you know, a group of lawyers just wasn't even willing to go to virtual, right? It's like, no way, because, you know, there's certain clients and individuals who will feel that in some way they lose face, or, you know, don't look smart if they don't, you know, if they don't know how to work the virtual elements. So I'm wondering, you know, what can we do as facilitators to help with that? So a lot of that might be some of that pre-prep, sending out information in advance. It might be that being available for that half an hour before the meeting even starts to say, hey, if anyone's struggling with any of the tools, join, you know, I'll walk you through it. And maybe even it's some norms around, you know what, we're going to struggle. We're all going to struggle a bit with this, and, you know, it won't be perfect, but we'll keep supporting one. Like, I'm just like throwing out some things to make, because essentially I think it's about people, like, you know, you could have people just drop off because they go, you know what, forget it. I've tried to move around. I can't self-select. And I'm now too embarrassed to actually tell the facilitator or tell my colleagues that I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just totally disengaging, right?
Simplify, simplify, simplify.
Yeah, I think if I can jump in as well, it's I think I'm a strong believer in the only thing we should ask our clients to do is a post-it, and even that can be, you know, how often have we spent 3 minutes telling clients where the post-it is? And I wouldn't even ask them to change a color if I could avoid it, because again, it can get, you know, complicated. Another danger, little things I've experienced, and it kind of gets back to what Barbara was saying before about like 1 out of 24 people had read the instructions or something. And I think we're setting yourself up for a fall sometimes that, you know, again, it gets back to simplify, simplify, simplify. I had a recent meeting where I think I was ultra prepared, ultra protected, so that my client couldn't say that was too complicated. I sent out timed emails, timed warnings, timed this, have you done this? I checked it. I emailed people who hadn't done it. And I had people turning up who I didn't know on borrowed laptops, complaining that they couldn't download Miro. And I said, well, I don't actually know who you are. You know, nobody told me you were coming. And, you know, so again, if it had been a Jamboard, they would have just connected and done a post it, you know. So I think simplifies the key.
I'm just, it's our closing time. I just put in a quick chat cascade to say what's one takeaway from the session. And a couple of comments. I try to do any learning right within the session, as I said earlier. Yeah. And absolutely, because unless you're working with a group that you're going through 7, 8 sessions, it's hard to do things in between. And I'm always amazed. I was totally amazed with this group. This was the right thing to do, yet in a way a challenge and a risk, and yet I knew it would serve them best, and they did it. It was great. So thank you. I'm going to put my email in, and if you what is my email? Gosh, I don't even know. And love talking and sharing the different ideas. Really appreciate you coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you everybody for coming. And just to point out that what I said at the beginning was Barbara, you know, is not an expert in World Cafe Online. So if you want to share any experiences, good or bad, we did actually have an idea recently. It's of doing a horror stories series, but anyway, that's another day's work. If you've done it before, it's gone well, it's gone bad. I know that can be difficult sometimes, but don't hesitate to send me an email or via LinkedIn or something like that. Contact at davidbishop.fr or anybody on the IAF board. We're open. You do not have to be a mega expert to share. So
say yes to David when he asks you. Say yes. Yeah.
Our next one is May the 6th with Sam Brad. You can check it out on the LinkedIn's.
Great.
6 o'clock CET.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
We have 37 people.
Bob, I just wanted to say I emailed you about the
Bye.
podcast I was asking about.
How do you lose a private message on Twitter?
No, I do the same thing. I can't ever remember who contacts me on what platform. So it's just because the initial conversation about going back to face was on Twitter. So I thought, oh, I'll message you on Twitter. Anyway.
I have to jump out, lads. And the problem is I have a meeting 5 minutes ago and I'm controlling this meeting. So
That's fine. I just wanted to say I've emailed you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
So I leave, you all leave. Okay, bye.
That's fine. Bye.